Well, guys, that's back-to-back weeks now where I get to start this show by saying, I told you so. When Hendrick Motorsports broke through at the end of last year, started winning races, and Chase Elliott wins the championship, and then they sign this hungry free agent looking to prove something named Kyle Larson, I told y'all it was about to get ugly and it was about to be scary hours for the rest of NASCAR. Today was scary hours for everybody not named Kyle Larson. The redemption tour of Kyle Larson is officially back. I'm a racing fan. I will watch pigs race. That's atrocious. That is disgusting. I never want to see that again. I'm fed up, and you should probably turn this off. Now, I said it, and I've heard Dale Jarrett, Jeff Burton, Dale Jr., a lot of other experts say it. Kyle Larson this year was an absolute threat right off rip. When you put somebody with this much talent in equipment that is this good, and now he's hungry, and now he wants it, and now he really has a drive that honestly I don't think he ever had before. Sure, he loves the sport. Sure, he's good at it. But now this dude is hungry. Y'all took away his livelihood. You took away his life, basically, outside of family. You took that away from him. How does he respond? You know how he responds? He comes out, starts dominating, starts cleaning house. Last week, he had one of the best cars at Homestead. I thought he was going to win that race. It went to his teammate William Byron instead. Today, top 5 all day. Right off rip, you knew this guy's going to contend for the win. Then he goes out, wins stage 2, and dominates the final stage. Dude ended up leading the most laps, won a stage, won the race. Very similar to William Byron last week. Same thing. This team right now, Hendrick Motorsports as a whole, I've told you guys, they are about to take off and it's about to get ugly. But this number 5 team, specifically just this number 5 team, wow. Look at this team. Fresh out of the gate, this team is already on fire and is already cooking. I didn't realize it, but this is the team that was basically Jimmy Johnson's team last year. This is essentially the entire 48 team from last year, and now you slap a number 5 on it. This looks completely different. Now, I'm not going to sit here and pile on Jimmy for, being washed up or anything like that. Guy's a 7-time champion. But there is something different with this team now, and you cannot ignore it. What Kyle Larson has brought to the entire Hendrick Motorsports organization is immeasurable, honestly. I cannot wait. I think Kyle Larson winning today, go ahead and get that first win out of the way. Because if you go into, say, June or July and he hasn't won yet, then you hear the chatter. Then you hear Kyle Larson, is his head in the right place? Oh, last year, did he take too much time off? This and that. To go ahead and get that first win out of the way right now with a brand new team. Look, this guy, Kyle Larson, is a championship threat. And I don't think that's a stretch at all. Everybody knows this is one of the best pure racers in the entire sport. Now that Hendrick Motorsports is back to being on top where they belong, pair that with Kyle Larson, it's about to get ugly. Now, also last week, I mentioned there were two drivers that have started the season awful. I mean, just absolutely awful. And that was Ryan Blaney and Matt DiBenedetto. They needed good runs today at a place where I thought they could get good runs. Now, Ryan Blaney had absolutely one of the best cars on the track all day. He drove from 26th up to 8th, I think, in the first stage, whatever it was, something like that. Then he just kind of stalled around 4th, 5th. He had a great car. He would get up into the top 5, and then it would just kind of stall. I don't know. I guess, of course, you look fast when you're passing slower cars. So when you get around faster cars, it gets tougher. I get it. But Ryan Blaney absolutely had one of the best cars today. He comes home, I believe, fifth. He came home with a top five. He absolutely needed this run. Now, NASCAR has a long schedule. Your season is not over after the fourth race. But it is very, very important to get off on the right foot and to start the season strong. Ryan Blaney did not do that. Today we saw that team is going to turn that corner, and Ryan Blaney will still be a championship threat. Now, Matt DiBenedetto also had a good run today, although the finishing position does not show it. On the last pit stop, their gun broke, and he did not get to change the left rear tire. So he had 3 brand new tires and an old left rear. And the car just did not handle, and they ended up losing a bunch of spots. He tweeted after the race that he's just sick and tired of having this awful luck, and I'm right there with him. This car ran really good. He ran really good. It is good to see the Wood Brothers run in the top 10. Everybody loves the Wood Brothers. They are good for the sport. Once they get rid of this bad luck, I do think this team will be back competing for top 10s, top 5s, and I still think Matt DiBenedetto is going to win a race this year and get the Wood Brothers their 100th Cup Series win. I still think it's going to happen. But speaking of legendary teams running in the top 10, shout out to Eric Jones and Richard Petty Motorsports bringing it home 10th today, a run that I don't think anybody saw coming. Those 2 cars of Richard Petty Motorsports and Wood Brothers Racing, the 43 and the 21, those cars are supposed to be in the top 10. Those cars are supposed to be up front. We need that. We need it. We need it. It was great to see that from Eric Jones today and that Richard Petty Motorsports team to get that 43 back up into the top 10. Hopefully they can keep going and put some good runs together. Now, on the opposite end of that spectrum, an awful, awful day for Stewart-Haas Racing. Kevin Harvick starts on the pole, and it's like he had 1,500 pounds of lead in his trunk. Instantly went to the back. I think he fell from 1st to 11th before the competition caution even came out on lap 25. I don't know what was wrong. I mean, they said he was way too tight. I don't know why they couldn't make in-race adjustments and get that car the way Harvick wanted it, but not a good run from Kevin Harvick. Eric Almirola knocked the wall down after blowing a tire. Cole Custer was just kind of out there. I think he ran in the 20s all day. Just never saw him once on TV. And Chase Briscoe, this guy dominated the Busch Series last year. I mean, he absolutely stunk up the show, won like 9 races or whatever. He's taken over for Clint Boyer in the 14 car. Not every rookie is going to come in and light the world on fire like we saw last year with Bell and Reddick. But I really, really, really thought Chase Briscoe would look a little better than this. I get it, it's only 4 races. No, world's not ending. But this 14 team, I don't know what's wrong with them, but they better figure it out, and they better find it, and they better fix it. Stewart-Haas Racing, as an organization right now, they've got work to do to catch up to everybody else. Now, aside from today's race at Vegas, there was some news earlier in the week. One of the big stories is how Dale Jr. and Bristol Motor Speedway and the governor of Tennessee have all come together, and they have started putting plans in motion for Bristol Motor Speedway to oversee the renovations of the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway. This is huge. This is absolutely huge. This is what we need. We need more short tracks, and we need more markets, and we need more southern markets. I have a whole rant about it. Look it up. The Nashville Super Speedway, which is on the schedule this year, that track is, it's just whatever. It had a bunch of bush races and truck races for years, and it fell off the schedule because it just wasn't any fun. It wasn't interesting. It wasn't entertaining. Dale Jr. has led the charge on bringing the Nashville Fairgrounds back, a short track that produced great racing a long time ago. Now, these renovations will take place, and I do believe the Nashville Fairgrounds will be back on the Cup Series schedule within the next 5 years. That being said, I have a proposal. Dale Earnhardt Jr. needs to be in charge of NASCAR, and I mean that wholeheartedly. I believe Dale Earnhardt Jr. should be the CEO, the president, whatever you want to call it. Dale Earnhardt Jr. needs to be in charge of NASCAR. First off, he's a racer. He grew up in racing and then became a race car driver and is still very, very involved in racing. No disrespect to Steve Phelps, Steve O'Donnell, any of those guys that are really high up in NASCAR. No disrespect, because the last couple years I think they've made some good moves. But they're not racers. They weren't in the sport. They haven't lived and breathed this sport like Dale Earnhardt Jr. has. Dale Earnhardt Jr. knows what the people want. Dale Earnhardt Jr. is perfect to run NASCAR because he is the absolute perfect mixture of old school and new school. He knows how to grow the sport into the future, but he's also not going to completely forget and disregard his roots and the roots of this sport. I believe Dale Earnhardt Jr. would be the perfect, most logical fit to run NASCAR, take us into the future with a nod to the past as well. It's probably never going to happen, but Dale Earnhardt Jr. should absolutely be in charge of NASCAR. And now we're saving the best for last. All right. So, Mike Joy versus Noah Gragson. That's where we're going to start here. Noah Gragson last week in the Busch race was leading with, I think, 2 or 3 laps to go. He was going to pass a slower car. I don't even remember who was driving it, honestly. But he was going to put the car a lap down. This car blew a tire, went up and hit the wall, and took Noah Gragson out and did not give him a chance to win the race. After the race, Noah Gragson criticized him, said it was a slow car going multiple laps down, this and that, whatever. Well, that's incorrect. That car was running 12th and was going to be going a lap down for the first time that day. Made headlines with it, speaking out, talking bad. And Mike Joy was not having it. And he absolutely woke up and chose violence earlier this week, and I'm here for it. And I believe most of the drivers in the garage area are also here for it. To summarize what Mike Joy said, basically he said all these spoiled brats that are getting here from their daddy's money need to take a step back and realize that a lot of people have worked very, very hard to get to where they are. I could not agree more. I am so glad somebody is finally saying it. Let's call these spoiled rich kids out on all of it, okay? The next time you see Joey Logano start running his mouth and complaining about something, keep this same energy. Remember this tweet that Mike Joy sent. Remember all this. Joey Logano is one of the spoiled rich kids that thinks he can just get whatever he wants because daddy's money got him there. Noah Gragson is exactly the same. Now, I actually like Noah Gragson. Yes, he can be arrogant. Yes, he is a spoiled rich kid that got there on his daddy's money, but he is entertaining. And at the end of the day, you are selling a television product. You need to be entertaining. People need a reason to watch the race. Every sport has to have a villain. The Cup Series has Kyle Larson. Kyle Busch. I guess Kyle Larson could be a villain to some. But Kyle Busch is the villain in the Cup Series. I guess Noah Gragson is going to be the villain in the Busch Series now. I love Mike Joy for stepping out and finally calling these kids out when they start running their little cocky, arrogant mouth. I love it. Next week, Cup cars go to Phoenix. This was where Chase Elliott won his championship last November. He dominated that race. The role that Hendrick Motorsports is on right now, I would not be shocked to see Chase Elliott go out there and dominate Phoenix again next week. But hey, we'll be here to break it down no matter what happens.